2025 Zeekr X AWD review fledgling of brand Zeekr has landed in Australia. And one of its first models in showrooms is the stylish compact SUV, the Zeekr X. It's hard to make a case for the Zeekr X AWD. It's circa $63,000 buy and likely to nudge around $70,000 on the road. That kind of coin buys plenty of EV SUV from the more established players in the space, including a decent dollop of Tesla Model Y. Likes edgy styling inside and out, wickedly fast, generous list of standard equipment dislikes, unresolved ride comfort, overly intrusive safety technologies, silly, and gimmicky external soundtrack 2025 Zeekr X AWD of the week. Another new electric car brand from China. This time around, it's Zeekr, pronounced Zeekr, that enters the Australian market with a compact electric SUV with a touch of pizzazz. The Zeekr X slots straight into a very competitive segment. Affordable EVs are proliferating at a prodigious rate. This sub-$60,000 bracket seemingly welcoming new battery-powered metal every month. While the Zeekr name might look odd on paper, a name largely unknown until just a few short months ago, the brand's provenance is anything but a stranger to our shores. Zeekr, which didn't make its own first cars until as recently as 2021, is owned by Chinese automotive giant Geely, which includes in its stables such mainstream brands as Polestar, Lotus, the eponymous Geely, and Volvo. The last is the most interesting as the Zeekr X borrows heavily from its Volvo stablemate, sharing its platform and much of its technology with the Swedish brand's small electric SUV, the X30. So, are there compelling reasons for potential buyers to take a punt on an unknown brand X AWD over the trusted reputation of the more established brands like Volvo? Let's find out. How much is a Zeekr X? Just two variants make up the Zeekr X range: the entry-level rear-wheel drive RWD and the car we have on test here, the Zeekr X all-wheel drive AWD. Prices have already been heavily discounted since launching at the start of this year. The RWD now asking for $49,900 plus on-road costs, while the AWD is priced from $60,000 to $1,900 plus ORCs, representing cuts of $7,000 and $2,000 respectively. That brings the Zeekr X in line with some pretty stiff competition, including the bigger and next segment up, Tesla Model Y from $58,900, its Geely stablemate Smart #1 from $54,900, and even its twin under-the-skin Volvo EX30 that starts at $59,990. Although you'll need to spend $71,290 to land an EX30 with the same levels of all-wheel drive performance as the Zeekr X AWD. Powering the RWD is a single electric motor driving. As the mode designation suggests, the rear wheels with outputs of 200 kilowatts, 343 Newton meters. The 66 kilowatt-hours lithium-ion battery is good for a driving range of 540 kilometers under local ADR 8102 testing standards. That 540 kilometers range compares favorably against the two models that share the Zeekr X's underpinnings. The Volvo EX30 single motor extended plus for 180 kilometers and Smart #1 Pro plus for 120 kilometers. Closing parenthesis. However, it's worth noting that both of those Claims are derived from Europe's more stringent WLTP testing protocols. So, any direct comparison to the Zeekr X's AR to figures are a little rubbery. Plumping for the AWD model brings an additional electric motor located at the front axle, increasing total outputs to 315 kilowatts and 543 newton meters. However, more power equals less range, and the AWD, based on the same AR testing standards, is good for a claim for 170 kilometers. It's a similar tale when comparing driving ranges of the equivalent Volvo EX30 twin motor performance Ultra for 160 kilometers and Smart #1 Brabus for 100 kilometers. Both achieved in WLTP testing. It's a crowded segment, one where more established and better-known brands make it difficult for a challenger brand to stand out. But that hasn't stopped Zeekr from trying, and its stylish F makes a good first impression. From the outside, the X is all sharp angles and bold creases with a slew of interesting design elements that lend it a rakish profile which, to my eyes, looks pretty cutting edge. Standard equipment is generous, with Zeekr packing its full catalog into both RWD and AWD variants. The entry-level X RWD wants for little with 19-inch alloy wheels, two-tone paint, powered and heated frameless door mirrors, a panoramic sunroof, rain-sensing windscreen wipers, a 14.6-inch infotainment touchscreen with wireless and wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, wireless smartphone charging, dual's own climate control, 8.8-inch digital instrument display, and a comprehensive suite of safety and driver assist technologies. The range-topping X AWD we have on test here adds 20-inch alloy wheels, a massive 24.3-inch augmented reality head-up display, heated and cooled front seats, a heated steering wheel, and a 13-speaker Yamaha sound system. How big is a Zeekr X? It's in the cabin where the Zeekr makes its big play, with an interior that oozes wow factor. Modern, uncluttered, and brimming with what look and feel like quality materials, the Zeekr X's cabin impresses at first viewing and continues to impress after prolonged inspection. The artificial leather upholstery throughout looks and feels like real leather, and not like some of the more plasticky iterations we've sometimes come across in other brands. Our test car was draped in the $500 optional white and midnight blue interior that looks and feels a bit special. Soft touch surfaces abound, lending a plushness to the interior augmented by rose gold colored trim accents. Certainly, the light interior trim works in tandem with the panoramic roof to lend the cabin a light and breezy ambience. It's a shame, though, that the glass sunroof does not come with a cover. The power-adjustable front seats are comfortable, with plenty of support in most key dimensions, while the steering wheel that's uncluttered by switches and buttons is manually adjustable. Ergonomics are a mixed bag. There's no glove box, for instance, and the cup holders are located quite low. In the center console, a decent central storage bin and an armrest up front feature a pocket for your smartphone to slide right on in. The door pockets are on the small side. The pop-out rose gold-colored hook, located under the dash, could be used for small handbags. The X AWD variant comes with interesting ambient lighting, the highlight being the illuminated Ningbo skyline, Zeekr's home base in China, on the door cards. Looks pretty cool. Space in the second row is decent considering the Zeekr X's small SUV dimensions, although I did find tow room under the front seats a little wanting. The outboard seats are comfortable enough, while a fold-down armrest with cup holders impacts middle seat comfort with a firm seat back. In good news, there's no transmission tunnel, and that means those seated in the middle pew enjoy an abundance of foot and leg room. Isofix child seat mounts are fitted to the outboard seats, while all 3 seat backs are equipped with top tether. Anchor's boot space comes in at 360 liters with the second row in use, expanding to 1180 to L with the second row folded away. There's an additional to 1L up front under the bonnet, the perfect spot for carrying charging cables. Don't look for a spare tire, though. With a puncture repair kit, the only measure standing between you and an interminable wait for roadside assistance. Does the Zeekr X have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto? There's a lot going with the Zeekr X's technology. At its heart sits a 14.6-inch touchscreen that houses all of the car's tech, and creature comfort functions. Wireless and wired Apple CarPlay are standard, as is satellite navigation, Bluetooth connectivity, and DAB+ digital radio. It's a slick-looking system. But the over-reliance on the screen for a lot of the X's functions and features can get tiresome. Zeekr has, like so many before it in this new modern age, eschewed physical switches and dials. The only concessions are a pair of joystick-like toggles on the steering wheel that adjust things like the side mirrors, but only after the appropriate menu has been selected on the screen, and adaptive cruise control speed settings. Voice commands should make it easier to interact with the infotainment system. But the reality is the Hello Zeekr has a lot of learning to do. More often than not, it is unable to understand even the simplest of requests, such as adjusting fan speed or temperature settings, responding with a chirpy, "I can't do that." Apple CarPlay integration proved seamless and with a stable connection throughout my time. With the Zeekr X, the 8.8-inch digital instrument cluster looks good, but lacks the configurability we've come to expect from modern setups like this. Still, the basics are covered off, and there are limited data screens to help you keep an eye on energy consumption and the like. Where Zeekr has gone to some effort is in instilling its infotainment system with some quirky but questionable features. We're not sure anyone has asked for Felix Mendelssohn's The Wedding March to be played through. External speakers, with an accompanying light show in time with the well-known musical piece to be part of a car's features, and yet, here we are. If you don't like classical music, the grumbly and dull roar of a farm tractor might be more to your liking. Or maybe some simple voice messages such as "Thank you for giving way. We wish you all the best," or "You're welcome to go first. Please be careful," and even "Hello, please give me a chance to pass," are more your style. And then there are the various animal noises, cats, horses, dogs, that can be played through the X's external speakers for no discernible reason. I'd question the usefulness of these gimmicky features and would suggest the money spent, including those might have been better invested in some dials and switches. The Zeekr Companion app, part of the brand's connected services, gives owners the ability to activate a number of the X's functions remotely, such as climate controls. Additionally, owners can check on the status of the X, including battery levels and available driving range. The app can also be used to initiate some Tesla-like functions such as Sentry and Pet modes. Connected Services also provides continuous over-the-air updates. Is the Zeekr X a safe car? The Zeekr X wears a 5-star NCAP safety rating awarded in 2024. It scored highly in all for key categories: 91% for adult occupant protection, 87% child occupant, 80% vulnerable road user, and 80% for its safety assist technologies. What safety technology does the Zeekr X have? the suite of active safety and advanced driver assist. ADAS technologies bundled into the Zeekr X is impressive, as detailed in the table below. Less impressive is how some of these technologies perform out in the real world. The lane keeping assist is overly aggressive, while autonomous emergency braking can't read the traffic in the same way a human can, slamming on the brakes when a vehicle merges into the lane ahead of you, despite leaving plenty of space dot and the speed sign. Recognition software, like almost all of these systems, is inaccurate in identifying exit ramp speeds, school buses, and school zones, and then plays a tuneless melody of beeps and bongs that infuriate. The various systems can be disabled, but only for the current drive, with the tech reverting back on at the next start out. The airbag count runs to 7, including a front center that deploys between the front seat occupants to minimize the impact of head clashes in the event of an accident. How much does the Zeekr X cost to service? Zeekr is backing the X with a 5-year, unlimited kilometer warranty, while the battery itself is warranted for 8 years and 160,000 kilometers. Zeekr also provides 5 years of roadside assistance. Service intervals are spaced at every 12 months or 20,000 kilometers, whichever comes first. That's a sharp reduction from launch, where service intervals were previously quoted at 24 months or 40,000 kilometers. Zeekr offers capped price servicing for the first 5 years, 0 kilometers, and will cost $237, $806 to $137, $1,535, and $237. Over 3 years, 60,000 kilometers owners are looking at $1,280, while 5 years or 100,000 kilometers asks for $2,860. As for the RWD variant, over 3 years, 60,000 kilometers owners are looking at $1,090, while 5 years or 100,000 kilometers asks for $2,530. A year of comprehensive insurance coverage with a leading provider is quoted at $2,101, based on a comparative quote. For a 35-year-old male living in Chatswood, NSW, insurance estimates may vary based on your location, driving history, and personal circumstances. That's a smidge more than the Volvo EX30 Twin Motor Performance Ultra $2,068, and hefty impost over the smart #1 Brabus $1781. What is the range of a Zeekr X? Zeekr claims the X all-wheel drive will chew through its 66 kilowatt-hours battery at the rate of 15.5 kilowatt-hours per 100 kilometers on a combined urban and highway cycle. That's based on WLTP testing done out in the real world. And after a week covering plenty of kilometers in all manner of driving conditions, we saw an indicated 17.6 kilowatt-hours, 100 kilometers. Breaking that down further, after 227 kilometers of pure urban driving, the Zeekr X AWD was using 16.2 kilowatt-hours, 100 kilometers, while 240 kilometers of exclusive motorway driving returned an indicated 18.0 kilowatt-hours, 100 kilometers. In terms of driving range, Zeekr claims the AWD delivers for 170 kilometers. However, it's worth noting that number is derived from the less stringent ADR 8102 testing, and not the more commonplace European WLTP laboratory-tested protocols that come in at 4 to 5 km. Zeekr says the XAWD is capable of 11 kilowatts AC charging and 150 kilowatts DC fast charging, We plugged the Zeekr X into a 350 kilowatts supercharger and recorded a 10 to 80% charge time of 30 minutes 5 seconds, a peak rate of 153 kilowatts. What is the Zeekr X like to drive? With 2 electric motors, 1 at each axle, combining for outputs of 315 kilowatts and 543 Newton meters, the Zeekr X all-wheel drive is no slouch. Able to cover the sprint from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in just 3.8 seconds. The XAWD certainly taps into the headline-grabbing zeitgeist of acceleration. But the Zeekr X is more than that single eye-watering number, because what we have here is a capable and, mostly, comfortable electric SUV. Those generous outputs from the twin electric motors ensure the X is never left to flounder, moving away briskly and smoothly from standstill and with enough left in the tank for overtakes and merging. But how the X accelerates is in contrast to some other EVs and their equally as impressive sprint claims. Instead of punching you back into your seat, the Zeekr piles on speed quickly, but smoothly, and with less aggression and more refinement than some of its contemporaries. That makes merging onto a fast-flowing motorway effortless, and once at cruising speed, the Zeekr is happy enough to glide along at the speed limit with minimal fuss. Ride comfort is on the firm side. The Zeekr's suspension not dealing with Australia's roughshod roads with any kind of alacrity. Instead of ironing out the small lumps and bumps that make up large swathes of our road network, the X skips over the imperfections, reverberating through the steering wheel and the cabin. The X and all-wheel drive trim here tips the scales at 1,960 kilograms, which is a lot for a small SUV measuring just over 4 meters long. But it hides its weight well, mostly handling more adventurous driving through some winding rural back roads reasonably well. Body roll is kept largely in check. The lower center of gravity afforded by the battery pack helps here. And if the road surface is nice and smooth, there's a nimbleness to the way the XAWD tackles cornering. But throw in some mid-corner patchiness to the surface, and the XAWD can become a little unsettled thanks to that hard-edged suspension. The steering remains nice and direct with fast response, meaning you're not endlessly twirling away at the steering wheel. It does feel a touch on the light side, however, resulting in a disconnect from the road underneath. The brakes, though, feel confident, and the transition between regenerative and friction braking is seamless. There are 3 levels of regenerative: braking, low, medium, and high, but no single pedal driving mode. I comes closest to being able to pull the X up to a crawl, but requires pedal input from the driver to come to a complete stop. Its best work is saved for round town, where the Zeekr X feels at home navigating suburban roads and city streets in a timely and easygoing manner. Should I buy a Zeekr X? There's no question the Zeekr X offers something a little bit different. Sharp styling inside and out brings plenty of showroom appeal, and a scan of the generous equipment list only enhances that appeal. And yes, it is stupendously quick-in, a straight line, a party trick that is let down somewhat by that uncompromising and brittle suspension too, along with overly eager safety interventions, which detract from the quality feel of the rest of the X's package. It's hard to make a case for the Zeekr X AWD. It's circa $63,000 buy and likely to nudge round $70,000 on the road. That kind of coin buys plenty of EV SUV from the more established players in the space, including a decent dollop of Tesla Model Y Datif. Though, you love the styling of the Zeekr X, including its unashamedly minimalist interior, and can live without the blistering acceleration of the AWD. Then the rear-wheel drive variant at around $55,000 drive away is our pick of the two model bunch.